Slayer/Fragment said, falling from the sky. Slayer impacts the ground on his feet. He grinned widely, his crimson aura flowed around his body as he looked around at the area he crash landed on. His smile spreads wide as he chuckled lowly, "Hey asshole. See me!" Slayer shouted as he darted towards the woman and slashed his war axes at the woman as Slayer provided some backup, keeping the woman busy. Sophia the Berserk Shark said as Slayer would get up and swing his axe, she would return the strike as their clash would make small cracks on the ground around them. She grinned at Slayer, glad that he was not weak enough to have fallen from such a strike. If Slayer were to pay attention, he would be able to tell she was merely matching his output with her own, making sure one wasn't overpowering the other. Good. It's nice to see that weakling still knows to keep someone strong around him. Let's see just which one of us is truly the strongest, shall we? She said as she made a strong stomp-like step as she put a bit more power into her counter-attack, pushing and sending Slayer flying as he would not exactly expect her suddenly increased strength and pressure. She would continue her attack as she jumped after his flying figure, ready to strike at him again. Slayer/Fragment. Slayer/Fragment said as Slayer was sent flying. He laughed loudly, smiling as he felt the thrill of the fight. He used a fireball while triggering his domain, granting him more power to fight with. After this he brought his war axes up for a quick slash in AX format before casting Hellfire on her. "Come on, axe bitch. Let's fight," he said, smiling, his eye going ablaze as he reached the limit of his limiter before charging right at her without regard for his own safety, like the tales of him being a madman being true. Action. Sophia the Berserk Shark said Sophia swung both the spells away as she was exerting her own aura. She prepared for a clash as her aura and pressure was still seemingly able to match Slayer's, even altering her appearance slightly as she was taking on the title she was given of the Berserk Shark. Her skin got rougher and turned into a dark shade of gray, her eyes sharpened and her teeth grew and seemed to double in layer on both top and bottom sets. So glad to see someone that won't keel over with simple strikes. Come at me, ya damn warmongering bastard. Give me everything you got before I send you to your death. She called out to him as she got into a prepared stance, both of them clearly ignoring the other battles, including Action's, and how it empowered Slayer's already impressive abilities. Slayer/Fragment. Slayer/Fragment said. Slayer grinned widely as he smiled of pure enjoyment of the battle, his own power at the limit the limiter allowed him to have. He grinned widely as he reached to the band around his arm and tore it off, which allowed his full power to come flooding out, his dark crimson aura of a dark red to flow out as he went through some changes. His eyes went dark red along with his eyes being that of a feral warrior. He ran to her as he rapidly bashed his war axes at his prey. She could feel the power difference now which his attacks has Action. Sophia the Berserk Shark said as the two would continue to clash, the impact of their power and weapons would consistently send shockwaves that would grow in intensity. As these shockwaves grew, the buildings around the two as well as the very ground they stood on would crack and rumble more violently and start to crumble from the pressure. Sophia was not only still meeting with Slayer's pure power, but his own bloodthirsty and battle-crazy nature as they would continue to clash. They were practically both in their own world where they just saw the person in front of them as something to kill, or be killed by. With this rise in adrenaline and bloodlust, Sophia was continually keeping up with Slayer's power and strikes with his two war axes to her great axe. Soon, as the battle between these two would start to be at a standstill, Slayer would hear a voice in his head. "Ah, a blood-crazed man who thrives for battle. Haven't met one of you in a long time, would you like to bring this fight to the next level? Action has deemed you to be worthy to harness my power along with your own." So I do not mind lending you a hand, if you want it, that is. The voice would say from what would feel like inside Slayer's chest, but only he could hear it. Slayer/Fragment. Slayer/Fragment said, "Give me that power so I can take her skull and wear it as a belt." Slayer replied as he kept his war axes swinging into the great war axe that the woman was using. He felt the thrill of a fight with a bloodthirsty smile forming across his lips as he and the women were in their own little world as they fought. For them it was just them alone, no outside forces were there, just them, like in a cage fight until one would wreak the other. Even when he nearly gets hit he only kept fighting more, letting his armor wear those marks with pride as he grinned and laughed battle crazed. His eyes now glow red as he kept going on, ignoring the outside world but their own world that they were in Actuan. Sophia the Berserk Shark said asterisk as they continued through their fight, their powers kept matching. The being temporarily inside Slayer would give him a boost that made Sophia stumble and struggle for a moment, but she would push past that influence to return to keeping the pressure. After a few moments, she would push Slayer back and seem to lower her weapon, suddenly looking bored as she would look to the fight between Actuan and Rosalind asterisk. As fun as this is, it seems this is the end of our fun. Guess she didn't have faith in us as she claimed to, asterisk Sophia would say before looking to Slayer. Before he could react to her words and sudden backing down, he would feel the effects of Rosalind's spell, practically forcing him onto his knees asterisk. Slayer/Fragment said, feeling the spell take effect. Slayer gritted his teeth as his knees started to buckle down, making him to kneel. He then did a swift course of action by jabbing himself with a sharp knife to filter out the effects of it. He grinned widely as he looked at the woman pulling the knife away as he healed himself. "I'm not dying that easy, nor I do plan on going under some bitch's spell, so, fuck you and fuck your order," he said, taking out a totem of Titan, a long forgotten item that was told to be lost to time. This helped him counter-react the spell. "Oh Sophia, if you weren't such a bitch I'd be tapping that ass of yours," he remarked with a grin before vanishing in front of her eyes. Before she knew it he had appeared behind her and started to hack away into her flesh. Sophia the Berserk Shark said asterisk after the sudden shock in his recovery, she had taken a few hits to her back as she cried out in pain. However, her skin would react as when Slayer would try to pull his axes out, they'd get stuck in her shark skin. This same shark skin would chip away at his axes as he would try to pull them out. Due to this new obstacle, Sophia would ram her back, as well as the hilts of Slayer's axes, into his chest to at least mildly stun him and make him lose grip of his axes asterisk. As soon as he would, she would stumble a bit away and turn towards him as her own aura started to come out. However, it was not just pure bloodlust like Slayer's. Sophia was actually angry due to the lodged axes into her back. She suddenly let out a roar as she went into a rage, rushing at Slayer with a new rage-fueled fury as she swung her axe at him. Now Slayer was to be on the defensive as he seemed to have no weapon to fend against her powerful offensive with asterisk. Slayer/Fragment. Slayer/Fragment said with her attacks nearly hitting Slayer. He grinned as he cackled loudly in pure enjoyment of the fight they were having. He kept moving back as the weapon came close to his chest each time before backing away more and more as if he was dancing with her. With a wild smile across his lips he kept moving away, moving his head down just enough as the patch that limited his power was cut with some of his blood coming out due to the impact. He laughed loudly as an overpowering flood of pure aura surged out of his body. As her weapon came to hit him once more, he grabs it. As his frame started to change with old forgotten demonic bones cover his body, he would start to grip her arm tight before twisting it as her bones start to crack and bend her elbow the wrong way. Hearing it crack, then a loud snap as he grabs his axes out of her back. Rosalind the Phoenixian Queen said asterisk as Sophia would scream from the immense pain and would fall to her knees, curling into a ball forward as her body was slowly trying to repair itself. A mass of black flames would rush towards Slayer. However, just before reaching Slayer, a ball of light with dragon wings would clash with it as the forms of Actuan and Rosalind would be present to Slayer asterisk. "How dare you do such atrocities to my wife, you worthless scumbag bastard?" I will kill you and Axuan both. Rosalind would yell out as her face was full of pure rage. She was not only furious at Yuska's presence being against her, Salacia was losing to Anna, and now Sophia was being bested by Slayer*. Axuan said, yeah, I don't think so. Slayer, keep doing as you wish. I'll keep Rosalind at bay. Just, don't go too far. And you know what I mean by that, got it? I may let you do whatever ya want, but even I have my own boundaries on that. We clear, bro? Axuan would say before pushing Rosalind back, grinning as an apology to Slayer for her interference. Slayer/Fragment. Slayer/Fragment said in the state Slayer was like a whole another person. He lifts his foot up as he slams it down with a loud crunch as both flesh and bone rip and tear. Oh, what's wrong? Did you lose your toy? You were a big shot a bit ago. What happened to that power of yours? He said, his voice showing his inner blood demon's voice. As he kept doing this, his body grew a darker crimson. Looking to the new person, he looked at her not as a person but as mere food to devour. Hearing a voice he knew well, he listened, letting his foot to press the food that was being pressured down to the ground. Oh, if it isn't Axuan, brother to the half-breed that I inhabit, I'll feed and toy with this food, but I can see to that I don't play too hard. Devour answered with a dark demonic grin. Just then the food under his foot tried to move her head to try to bite his foot, which only sounded out in a heavy crunch of her face now eating the ground. I think not. I didn't say you could move, food. Slayer/Fragment said. Devour returns within Slayer as he now looks down at the body, whom he checks with his finger, which presses against her throat to feel that was still alive. Although still without Lameter, he cracks a grin down at her as he reaches down to grab a hold of her hair, lifting her up to eye level, staring into her eyes. You were strong, but you still failed to kill me. Now I can give you an option. I can rip your head off and add it to my throne, or, you get to live but you serve me, Slayer said as he walks over to a building and stands there with her in his grasp. Speak your answer before I make a choice myself. Sophia the Berserk Shark said, I'd never serve scum who sides with someone like Axuan, she said, struggling to try to move with her completely broken body. She was still wanting to kill him, more so because he was in her way to kill Axuan *, and you call him brother like those other fools. Don't you know how weak and pathetic he is? Or that he is nowhere near worthy to follow? So why? Why do you follow someone like him? Sophia was seeming angry, but also lost. She was confused as to why someone who could best her in pure power, would be fighting with Axuan. Why would he call someone she felt betrayed by a brother? Why had so many people seemed to side with Axuan? She had to understand before she died. Slayer/Fragment. Slayer/Fragment said, yes, I am a scumbag. My faction is of the Crimson Skulls for a goddamn reason. We kill, we slaughter, and we use the bones to mark our turf. Any sanity? Those whom seen our acts have gone mad and turned crazy, Slayer answered, looking deep into her eyes. He heard this question and cackled loudly. You think that's it? Laughable. I'm just in it to gain more land. The only reason why I call him that is we've been through wars with other factions whom tried to take his land, his home. We fought side by side, even allowing me a loose cannon to be his battle brother, he explained to her. He paused before adding on, I aim to claim more power for my own group, and I want to help you grow stronger than you are now. Turn your anger and bloodlust into a tool and weapon to make you grow stronger. So I ask you again, join me in my own group and serve me, he said, his eyes looking into hers as she saw what he was telling her was not a lie nor a trick but his own truth. Sophia the Berserk Shark said, her eyes widened to his answer. It was much the same as when she had asked the other two she had decapitated. She could tell that they all meant what they said. They all grew a brotherhood with Axuan through battle, and she had not had such a chance. She and Axuan had merely fallen apart due to what happened between Axuan and Rosalind. Could she had been mistaken of how